In this video, we'll learn how to access and work in AWS Lab for this course. So Amazon Web Services, as many of you may already know, is one of the market leaders in providing on-demand cloud computing platforms and APIs to individuals, companies, institutions, and government on a meter pay-as-you-go basis. So it's very important that we learn how to use this platform. So in this training video, we'll show you 3 steps to successfully access, navigate, and make use of the AWS Lab that is specially designed for you for this course. So step number 1, you to use the link that is provided to you to log in to AWS Academy. Now, this is a very important step, folks. Please do not use any other link, whether you had, AWS, Lab in the past during this course, or if you had your personal account on AWS, or if you have used AWS Academy for some other purposes in the past, and you would try to do this for Lab. No, that's not going to work. So if you're looking for the same type of technical support that you've received or that you should be expecting for this course and for this lab, then you will have to make use of the link that is provided to you. Now, once you log in and you click on that link, it's going to bring you to the screen that is shown here, the prompt window that is shown here with the AWS Academy on the top, where you'll plug in your email, you put in your password, and then you log in. Okay. So few important points for this step. First and foremost, ensure that you save the login credentials in a safe place. And what I mean here is not saving it in your browser, but someplace where you can retrieve it from safely and quickly as and when required. Second and most important thing is to not share your login credentials with anyone, even though you may have the best of the intents or intentions. Right? And the reason being, if your classmate or someone who you are sharing your login credentials with uses your environment, guess what happens? You would get billed for it, or you get the credit for it, right? And even though the bill would be like, it would be really running up your usage actually, right? In this case, if it is an Academy Lab. But this is why it's so important that your credentials remain with you. Rather, if your friends coming to you for that they have lost the credentials, you may want to encourage them to work with the faculty, right, and not share yours. And third most important point here, work with your faculty, right? If a TA is assigned for this course, please work with your TA first, create that support ticket and ensure that you're going to work with the TA and for that issue, and do not go to AWS or to their helpline or create an AWS ticket directly, right? Work with your TA, work with your faculty to ensure that it's going to be worked. And if they need help from AWS, they would do so on your behalf. But we do not want you to go to the AWS directly. So few important points to remember. And with that, I think we are now ready to move to step number 2. So in this step 2, we'll learn how to navigate to start the AWS Lab. So using a video shortly, I'll show how once you're logged into the lab, you can click on the modules option on the left. You can click on the Learner Lab, Associate Services link, and then click on the AWS Start Lab button on the top. Okay, so over to the video. So once you logged in using the URL that's provided to you, and as we discussed for the step 1, you put in your credentials, it will bring you to this home page of your AWS Academy Lab. As you can see here, there will be few menu options here, like there's a files option to go over and see all the files that are available to you for different labs. And then there is this modules option here. So when you click on the modules option, it will bring you to this page where right in the middle of this page and of all the options, there is this option for Learner Lab Associate Services, which is a hyperlink which you will click on, and it will take you to another page. This could take you a few seconds depending on whether this is the first time you are coming to this page or you have been here before. It could take anywhere from few seconds to a couple of minutes. Since I've been here before a few times, I was able to just get in here in a couple of seconds. But as I said, it may take some time. As you can see on this particular view here on this page, you'll see the AWS link, and as at this point there's a red dot right next to it, which means the lab isn't ready yet. Okay, the lab has not been started. Next is this usage option, or the information. At this point, you've got $100 credit. You'll all be having $100 credit, which is going to be more than enough to go through all your labs, including even if you want to do it multiple times, you'll be able to do it if you do it right, in this $100 credit that you will all be getting. So this isn't coming from your as I said, this isn't charged to you or coming out of your account in any way, but this is just being provided to you. Okay, just to keep an eye on as to how you've been using the lab. That's going to be how it is going to be useful to you. Otherwise, it could be ignored. And then there is this timer here for the lab. For the first, as soon as you start the lab, this timer is going to start, and it's important from the fact that the lab sessions are timed for 4 hours. If you go above 4 hours, you'll see that your labs start giving out errors and showing errors, and you will have to end the session. It's not that it's going to just completely blow away your screen, or it's just going to go away. It's just that some of the things that you may be doing in your lab will stop working after the 4 hours is up. And all you need to do is at that point, just save and come out of the lab, end your lab, and start the lab again, right? You would start the lab, and you could just reset the timer. Okay, so once again, it's for 4 hours every session that you could be in the AWS lab. You can start the lab with this start lab button. You can end the lab with this end lab button. Very simple, right? So when you click on this start lab, once again, this would take anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes. But as I said, it doesn't usually take a long time. Usually what I've seen, is maximum a minute or so. But the lab gets started in a few seconds, as you may see it here today. But once again, it depends on a lot of factors, your internet and how you're connected at what time, and all that kind of matters. But anyway, so this time we just got it done. You saw that with the AWS link here. There's now a green dot here indicating that, and you can see if you hover around the green dot, it would say AWS status ready, meaning you're ready to start the lab, right? The other thing that has changed also in this panel is this timer now. You see that the timer is now set for 4 hours. And if you're here on this page for a few more seconds, you'll see that, or for a minute here, it will go to 3:59, indicating you have only 3 hours and 59 minutes left, right? So again, oh yeah, this is just changed. So we kind of spent a few seconds, and it has already started to go down here from 4 hours to up to 00. And again, as I said, you can just end this lab here with the click of this button. So let's say you finish the lab, or you don't want to kind of go on or proceed with the lab, or your 4 hours is up. Come here on this page again, and you click on it, and it will ask you if you want to end this lab, and you would just end this lab here. So from green to yellow and then to red, indicating your lab has been shut down. Okay, so look for more steps in the next few slides and video. Okay, so you're now ready to move to the third and the last step here, which is working in the AWS Lab. So as I had shown in the video on one of the previous slides, once you come to this page here, onto the screen within your AWS Academy Lab, and you click on the Start Lab button, the red dot, which is next to the AWS hyperlink, turns green. And that's the point when your lab is ready, right? And for you to work in that environment. So you can click on that AWS hyperlink and it will take you to your AWS portal. And once again, I'll be showing you again on a video on the next in after the next couple of slides. So once again, something to remember, right, which I mentioned earlier as well. If the start button does not start the AWS lab, which means that red dot doesn't change it to green, what you want to do is click on the end lab button, which is right next to the start lab button, and then click on the start lab button again. And once you click on that, it would definitely start for you. Okay. Okay, we'll start from the top to go to the AWS portal. So once again, we click on the modules, we click on the Learner Lab Associate Services, which we learned earlier, and you're going to come to this screen where we see the red dot, meaning the lab hasn't started yet, and your timer is set to 0, which is all good. So we'll click on the Start Lab button, and the lab should start, and it should let you go to the AWS portal. And it will automatically log you into AWS portal with your account. So a few more seconds and your lab should be ready to go. Okay, it took a little longer this time, but anyway, I think this is a good demonstration of the fact that sometimes this will come up very quickly and sometimes it takes a few more seconds, and that's one of the reasons why there was some pause there. But okay, so the lab is ready now. As you can see, the green dot. So you would click on now this time, very important piece to remember is clicking on this AWS link. And once you click on that link, as you see, it's now opening up a new tab and you are now in the AWS portal. Um, and there are different, if you visited few sites in the past, it will show you the recently visited portion. It will show you the search bar where you can search for any type of service, and you will get all these instructions in your assignments or tutorials that you'd be working on within the portal here. Okay, so I'm just kind of demonstrating how you can easily get to the portal here. And once you're done, right, once you're done with the portal and all the work that you need to complete, or use the service, remove the service after you're done, you can then come here. As you can see, click on this link here and it would have some kind of an ID for you. So you can just click on this right and this drop down show, and here you'll see the sign out button. So you click on sign out and it will sign you out of your lab. So once you have signed out from here, remember we need to go back to our AWS Academy lab on this particular tab, and you can close the other tab if you want to, but the important part is remember this lab for your academy. As far as this page is concerned, it's still on, and what you need to do then is just click on the end lab button. Okay, and this is what is going to end your session, right? So now it's completely logged out and closed. Okay, so as you saw in all the previous slides and the videos, a couple of videos where we went through how to access, navigate, and work in the AWS lab or the AWS portal. So you're all set. Just a few more minutes to go over a couple of slides to once again, few reminders on what is going to be important while you work in these labs. So a couple of important things to remember. First and foremost, your AWS lab is timed to end after 4 hours. Very important. The reason I'm bringing this up is because especially if you do not plan to log out and end the AWS lab before this 4-hour window ends, you could start seeing some errors that you do not know what are why you're seeing those errors. So when that starts happening, look at the timer and see if you are still within that 4 hours window. Okay. Next, again, very important. Never forget to delete all the AWS resources you created after you've completed your lab. Otherwise, you start charging for the usage, right? And you don't want to run out of credit that you've got as a student for this course. Okay, so very important points to remember. So we're now ready to call it a wrap. We went over the steps to access the AWS Academy. We learned how to navigate to the section where you can start the AWS Lab. We saw what you can do if the Start Lab button does not start the lab. Um, we also learned how to click on the AWS Lab link to go to the AWS portal to work on your assignment. Um, we found out how to log out of the portal and the lab and log out of the academy. And most importantly, we went over a few tips and things to remember while you're working on your labs. Thank you and good luck with your labs and assignments.